Speak to win, not just to talk. Words, they are your greatest weapon or your biggest weakness. Every sentence you speak either builds your influence or buries it. Most people never realize how much power sits inside their voice, not the loudness, not the grammar, but the energy, the clarity, and the conviction behind their words. Think about it. The world listens to those who speak with purpose. The ones who know how to make people feel their message, not just hear it. They walk into a room, and without shouting, they command attention. They don't talk to fill silence. They talk to move minds. This book is your guide to becoming that kind of speaker. The one who can shift moods, spark ideas, and lead conversations that actually change outcomes. You'll learn how to speak with strength, simplicity, and soul. How to connect so deeply that people don't just remember your words. They remember you. Here, you won't find empty motivational fluff or complicated communication theories. What you'll find is real strategy, the mindset and psychology that turn words into weapons of influence. You'll learn how to read your audience, sharpen your clarity, and express your thoughts with impact that lasts long after you stop talking. Because the truth is simple. Anyone can speak, but very few can inspire. Anyone can explain, but very few can move people. This book is your transformation, from being someone who talks to be heard into someone who speaks to be felt. If you're ready to rise above noise, to speak with confidence, conviction, and unstoppable clarity, then get ready. You're about to learn how to turn your voice into your greatest advantage. The way you speak decides how the world perceives you. Every word you release has power. It can open doors of opportunity or silently close them forever. When you learn to express your thoughts with clarity and confidence, you don't just speak. You ignite influence. You don't just communicate. You create movement. Communication isn't about saying more. It's about saying what matters. One sentence, delivered with purpose, can shift opinions, change moods, and inspire action. People often believe sounding intelligent means using complicated words, but that's a lie. True mastery of speech is about connection, not complexity. It's about reaching people deeply and making them feel that you truly understand them. In this journey, you'll master the psychology of powerful communication. You'll uncover strategies that make your words impactful, your tone confident, and your presence unforgettable. Because this isn't just about learning to talk better. It's about transforming how people listen, feel, and respond to you. If you're ready to communicate with purpose, power, and precision, let's begin. 1. Understand your audience to deliver impact. Most people spend their entire lives talking, yet almost nobody listens to them. They speak, they share, they explain, but their message never lands. Why? Because they never take the time to understand who they're talking to. That single mistake kills influence, weakens connection, and destroys results. Communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how your words land in another person's mind. Being heard means nothing unless you're understood. And being understood means nothing unless you're felt. So here's your first rule. Know your audience. Really know them. Walk into any room and talk the same way to everyone, and you've already lost half the battle. People come with different stories, beliefs, and priorities. What excites one person may bore another. Some crave logic. Others crave emotion. Some want the big picture. Others want the details. If you don't understand what drives them, your words will fall flat. They might nod politely, but mentally they'll drift away. Because people don't listen to what's said. They listen to what feels relevant to them. So your job isn't to sound smart. It's to connect smart. Start by observing. Watch how people carry themselves. Listen to how they speak. Are they formal or relaxed? Fast-paced or calm? Do they respond to logic or emotion? These little signals reveal exactly how to reach them. If someone speaks directly, don't bury them in stories. If someone is soft-spoken, don't overpower them with energy. Adapt, adjust, align. This isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about delivering your truth in a way that others can actually receive it. That's emotional intelligence. That's empathy. And that's where powerful speaking begins. Because here's the truth. People don't care how much you know until they feel that you care. That's not a quote. That's a law of human connection. When you take the time to understand someone's fears, hopes, and frustrations, your words begin to resonate. They start to trust you not because you're impressive, but because you're in tune with their world. Imagine walking into a room full of young professionals, but speaking like you're addressing retirees. You'd lose them instantly. Or speaking to senior executives as if you're giving a classroom lecture. They'll tune out before you finish your first sentence. Tailoring your message means respecting your audience's experience. It means adjusting your tone, pace, and word choice to fit their mindset, not yours. The best communicators can talk to a CEO in the morning and a student in the afternoon, and both walk away thinking, that message was meant for me. That's not luck, that's preparation. Never enter a conversation blind. Do your research. Ask yourself, who are they? What pressures are they under? What outcome do they want? What are they tired of hearing? These aren't small questions. They determine whether your words inspire change or disappear into thin air. And don't forget, timing matters. You might have the perfect message, but if the listener isn't emotionally ready, it won't land. A person stressed or overwhelmed won't absorb wisdom, no matter how right you are. Powerful communicators don't force messages. They sense moments. They wait for when hearts are open and minds are clear. That's not manipulation. That's awareness. True intelligence in speech isn't about big vocabulary. It's about making complex things sound simple and making simple things feel powerful. If people have to work to understand you, they won't. They'll drift away. But when your message hits home, when it feels personal, real, and relevant, something changes. Their attention sharpens. Their body language shifts. They lean in. That's the moment your words begin to matter. And this principle applies everywhere. In business, leadership, relationships, and daily life. Because humans are the same everywhere. We all want to be understood, valued, and respected. You don't win attention by being the loudest voice in the room. You win it by being the one who understands the room. True power in speaking isn't about dominating conversations. It's about directing them with purpose and clarity. The strongest communicators don't say the most. They say what matters most. They shape their message like a key designed for the exact lock in front of them. So before you speak, pause and ask yourself, who am I talking to? What do they truly need? How can I make my message belong to them? That's when your words stop being background noise and start becoming unforgettable. Not because you impress people, but because you reach them. That's the art. That's the power. That's what it truly means to speak smart. That kind of energy doesn't just fill a room. It transforms it. But here's the truth. That power doesn't come by accident. It takes discipline. It takes deliberate effort. You've got to strip away everything that weakens your message. You got to be okay with silence, with pauses that carry weight. You've got to learn to say less, but mean more. And most importantly, you must be open to feedback. If people constantly ask you to repeat yourself, or if they look lost after you talk, don't ignore that. That's not criticism. That's a mirror. It's your signal to evolve. Communication isn't about being flawless. It's about being aware. Clarity often means bringing ideas to life through examples. Not long, boring stories, but sharp, relatable visuals that spark understanding instantly. When people can see what you mean, they feel it. They grasp it quicker. They remember it longer. Great communicators master this. They don't hide behind theories or complex jargon. They use words that live and breathe in the real world. Remember, communication isn't a performance. It's an exchange of meaning. You're offering something, and your audience is deciding whether it's worth their attention. If your message is cluttered, they'll drop it. If it's clean, direct, and powerful, they'll take it. Don't hide behind big, flashy words. Don't try to impress. Try to connect. If you want your words to move people, say them in a way that can't be misunderstood. That's where your voice gains strength, not in complexity, but in clarity. This isn't about simplifying. It's about respecting people's time, focus, and energy. Speak to them like you value them. Deliver value, not confusion. Speak with intent, with purpose, with a clear reason behind every word. That's what makes you a sharp communicator. Not because you say more, but because you say better. Crisp, focused, unforgettable. Number 3, master the art of active listening. Most people don't really listen. They just wait for their turn to talk. While someone's speaking, their mind is already busy preparing the comeback. So when they finally respond, it's not to what was said. It's to what they wanted to say all along. That's why so many conversations go nowhere. That's why people feel unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. Listening is one of the most powerful tools in communication, yet it's the one most neglected. If you want to speak with impact, you must first learn to listen with intention, not half-heartedly, not distracted, but completely present. Listening isn't passive. It's an act of discipline. It's about fully understanding the person in front of you before you even think about replying. Active listening means giving someone the space to be heard without interrupting, without judging, without scripting your reply in your head. It means tuning in to more than just words, to tone, pace, rhythm, and emotion. It's noticing when their voice tightens or their energy drops. It's reading between the lines, hearing what they don't say, and understanding what they truly mean. That's where real connection is born. Think about how many people walk away from conversations feeling unseen. They spoke for 10 minutes, but no one caught the emotion under their words. The response they got was generic or robotic. That's what fake listening does. It breaks trust. It kills connection. But when you practice active listening, everything changes. You stop guessing and start knowing. You stop assuming and start understanding. Your responses become sharper, smarter, and grounded in truth, not ego. People feel that. They can tell when your words are shaped by genuine understanding. That's what earns respect. Smart communication isn't just about what you say. It's about what you respond to. When you truly listen, you catch details others miss. You ask stronger questions. You avoid missteps that derail conversations. Most importantly, you make people feel valued. And when someone feels truly heard, they open up. They trust you. They let their guard down. That's when a conversation turns into a breakthrough. Listening also trains your instincts. It teaches you when to push and when to pause, when to challenge and when to simply hold space. It sharpens your timing. It makes you adaptive. A strong communicator isn't rigid. They're responsive. They don't just speak. They adjust in real time. That's what gives their words authority. They're not pre-rehearsed, they're alive. Think back to the moments when someone listened to you so deeply that you walked away lighter. They didn't even have to give advice. Their presence alone was enough. That's the power of presence. Rare, transformative. When you give your full attention without rushing, without trying to fix, you create space for something real. From that space, better ideas are born. Smarter responses emerge because you're not reacting. You're responding with awareness. Make no mistake, this takes effort. It means setting your ego aside. It means giving up your craving for the spotlight. It means resisting the urge to interrupt, even when you think you already know the ending. It means holding back judgment, even when you disagree. It means listening not just with your ears, but with your eyes, your intuition, your full presence. At first, it might feel strange, even uncomfortable, especially if you're used to talking more than you listen. But the reward is massive. The more you practice, the sharper your instincts become. You start picking up on emotions, motivations, hidden truths. You realize most people don't want to be fixed. They want to be felt. That kind of listening is a gift. And it's one every powerful communicator must learn to give. And here's the twist. It doesn't just help them. It helps you. You start speaking more intentionally, asking smarter questions, cutting through noise, and hitting the mark more often. That's what builds influence. When you listen this way, your words carry more force, not because they're loud, but because they're true, because they come from understanding, not assumption. People don't respect fast talkers. They respect thoughtful responders. Before you speak, pause, take it in, resist the urge to jump. Let silence do its job. Listen to understand, not to react. Then, when you finally speak, your words will land with precision. That single habit alone can change how people experience you. It shows that your voice isn't just intelligent, it's grounded. And that's how leaders communicate. That's how strong relationships are built. That's how progress happens, through people who listen first and speak with purpose. You don't have to dominate the room to make an impact. Just show up with presence, empathy, and attention. That's real strength. Speaking smart doesn't begin with words. It begins with listening. Number 4, command your tone. Speak with power, not noise. Here's a truth most people ignore. How you say something often matters more than what you say. You can deliver a brilliant idea, but if your tone is weak, unsure, or nervous, your words lose their bite. Tone is the secret weapon of great communicators. It's the unspoken energy that people feel before they even process your message. You can speak the right words, but the wrong tone can destroy their power. Mastering your tone is non-negotiable. It's what separates confident communicators from forgettable ones. And no, tone doesn't mean volume. Talking louder doesn't make you stronger. In fact, shouting often reveals insecurity. True control comes from calm power, from steady, measured delivery. When your voice is composed and intentional, people listen. They lean in not because you're loud, but because you're in control. That kind of tone radiates confidence without arrogance. It shows certainty without aggression. It communicates strength without ever needing to dominate. It says, I know what I'm talking about, and I mean every word. Confidence in tone doesn't mean sounding robotic. It means speaking with purpose, energy, and presence that matches your message. If you're excited, let that energy come through naturally. If you're serious, let your tone carry that weight. Authenticity is your greatest weapon. People instantly sense when you're pretending. When your tone reflects your true emotion, your message becomes real. That honesty makes you believable, and believable people influence. When people trust your words, they listen deeper. They absorb your ideas. Tone is directly connected to your emotional state. When you feel nervous or uncertain, it leaks through your voice. Your pitch rises, your pace stumbles, your words lose power. If you want to communicate like a leader, you must learn to master your inner state. Because when you control what you feel, your tone automatically aligns. You sound calm, confident, and in command. One of the biggest traps is letting self-doubt hijack your voice. When nerves take over, your tone tightens. It loses warmth, confidence, and flow. People pick up on that instantly, even if you don't realize it. The first step to fixing it is awareness. Notice how your voice changes when anxiety hits. The moment you recognize the shift, you gain power over it. A single deep breath before you speak can reset everything. A short pause before you answer can anchor your voice. These small pauses aren't weakness, they're control. They build steadiness and authority into your sound. Your pace also shapes your tone. Speaking too fast makes you sound anxious, like you're rushing to escape your own words. Speaking too slow makes you sound dull or uncertain. Both extremes drain your authority. The sweet spot? A natural, confident rhythm. Steady enough to be clear, lively enough to stay engaging. Pausing is your secret weapon. A pause before or after a key point adds impact. Silence creates gravity. It draws attention and gives your message room to breathe. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it. But strong communicators use silence as punctuation. It signals confidence. It tells the audience, my words matter. Volume matters too, but it's not about being loud. It's about balance. A voice that's too soft sounds unsure. Too loud sounds defensive or pushy. The goal is controlled energy, a volume that fits the room and commands attention naturally. Loudness doesn't prove confidence. Control does. Now let's talk about intonation, how your voice rises and falls. A flat, monotone speaker can make even gold sound like dust. But someone who uses tone variation, emphasizing key words, softening in moments of sincerity, lifting in excitement, captures hearts. This natural rhythm keeps listeners hooked. It makes your message easier to follow and remember. It turns your words from sentences into experience. Your tone doesn't just affect your words. It shapes the entire emotional climate of a conversation. It sets the atmosphere. A calm, respectful tone invites openness and trust. A harsh, dismissive tone breeds resistance and defensiveness. That's why tone control is critical in high-stakes conversations. When tempers rise, your tone can either calm the storm or feed it. To speak smart, you must know how to stay steady even when the discussion heats up. That steadiness communicates leadership. It reassures people that you're in control, and that makes them listen. Tone control isn't something you learn once and forget. It's a lifelong practice. Record yourself. Listen to how you sound. Ask trusted people for honest feedback. Read aloud and study how your voice moves. Over time, you'll develop an instinct for how your tone impacts your message and how to adjust it for maximum power. This discipline pays off everywhere, in work, in relationships, in leadership, in everyday conversations. When your voice carries confidence and composure, people don't just hear you. They respect you. They trust what you say. They remember it. You become the kind of person whose words carry weight. This isn't about pretending or faking authority. It's about tuning your natural voice to its most authentic and commanding form. It's about aligning your sound with your purpose, so your message lands exactly the way you intend. Ultimately, tone control is about respect. Respect for your audience and for yourself. It shows you care enough to deliver your words with strength, clarity, and grace. It shows you believe in what you're saying. That's how you speak powerfully. That's how you master the psychology of communication. Your tone is your hidden weapon. Use it with precision. Number 5. Use storytelling to make your message stick. Facts fade. Stories don't. People forget numbers and logic, but they remember how a story made them feel. That's the truth most communicators miss. You might know your subject inside out, but if you rely only on raw information, you'll never connect deeply. Stories are the bridge between intellect and emotion. They give life to ideas. They transform information into inspiration. Through storytelling, ordinary communication becomes unforgettable. It's the difference between polite attention and total engagement. Most people think stories are just for fun or casual talk. Wrong. Stories are tools of influence. They make people see your message instead of merely hearing it. The brain reacts to stories with emotion and imagery. It feels them. That's why storytelling is one of the most powerful skills in smart communication. Start by identifying the core idea of your message. What do you want people to remember? And find a story that brings that idea to life. It could be your own experience, something you observed, or a simple metaphor that perfectly captures your point. A great story doesn't have to be long. It just has to connect. Choose something relatable. When people see themselves in your story, they stop being spectators. They become participants. That's where influence happens. Good storytelling isn't just about recounting events. It's about painting emotion. Use vivid details. Describe what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. Pull your listeners into that moment. When you engage their senses, the sights, the sound, the tension, they stop hearing words and start feeling the experience. That emotional engagement builds trust and influence. It's what turns a simple message into a transformative one. Don't be afraid to show vulnerability. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with truth. When you share failures, struggles, and lessons learned, you humanize yourself. You stop sounding like a preacher and start sounding like someone who's lived what they teach. That authenticity breaks barriers. It turns lessons into inspiration. Storytelling is how you prove you've walked through fire and come out stronger. Timing matters too. Use stories to reinforce your message, not distract from it. Drop them at the right moment, when you need clarity, impact, or emotional shift. A well-placed story can lighten heavy topics or re-energize a dull moment. It keeps people hooked. Think of each story like a reset button for attention. Every story needs structure, a rhythm that guides the listener. Start with a setting, where, when, who. Introduce the challenge or conflict. build the tension, then reveal the resolution and the lesson. That simple flow makes your story natural and easy to follow. Skip the structure, and your story feels scattered. Follow it, and your message becomes magnetic. Here's a warning. Don't drown your story in useless details. Stay sharp. Every sentence should push the story forward or deepen the message. When you wander off topic, you lose your audience's mind and their emotion. Discipline is what separates a powerful story from a rambling one. Focused storytelling shows respect for time, for attention, and for intelligence. Your body language and tone amplify your story. Movement, expression, and energy make it come alive. A raised eyebrow, change in tone, a moment of silence. They all pull your audience deeper. People don't just listen with ears. They feel with their eyes, heart, and intuition. When your tone rises with excitement or softens with meaning, you take your audience on an emotional ride. That's real communication. That's how you speak smart. Sometimes, the best stories end not with a conclusion, but with a question or a challenge. When you close your talk with a powerful question, you don't just end, you ignite reflection. You invite listeners to think deeper, to carry your words beyond the moment. This turns passive listeners into active participants. When you challenge someone to act, you move them from inspiration to transformation. That's the true goal of communication, not just to inform, but to create change. The best communicators don't just talk, they listen while they speak. They study their audience's reactions in real time. If they sense confusion, they clarify. If they notice excitement, they expand on it. That level of awareness builds emotional intelligence. It shows humility, respect, and presence. You're not delivering a monologue. You're sharing a moment. Over time, as you practice storytelling, you build a personal library of experiences to draw from. You start spotting stories hidden in ordinary moments, stories that help others see your point, feel your message, and remember it. That's what separates forgettable speakers from unforgettable ones. Because storytelling isn't just for writers or artists. It's how humans connect, teach, and inspire. Master it. And you don't just sound smart. You speak with clarity and heart. You make your message stick. You move people to action. You build genuine connections that outlast the words themselves. Your ideas deserve to be heard, remembered, and acted upon, and stories make that possible. Number 6, ask strategic questions to create deeper conversations. Many people talk, but few truly connect. They fill the air with words, yet leave no impact. The reason? They don't ask the right questions. Strategic questioning is what transforms small talk into meaningful dialogue. When you learn to ask questions that challenge the mind and open the heart, you pull people out of autopilot and into genuine exchange. Most conversations die on the surface. Facts, yes/no answers, predictable scripts. But strategic questions go deeper. They invite reflection, honesty, and emotion. Instead of asking, "Did you like the project?" try, "What part of the project excited you most?" That one shift turns a dull response into a personal story. It tells the other person you value their thoughts, not just their answers. Timing also matters. Drop a deep question too soon, and you'll shut down connection. Build comfort first. Let trust breathe. Then when the moment is right, your question lands like a spark that lights up the conversation. Avoid leading questions. They push, not pull. The real power lies in open-ended ones that start with how, what, why, or tell me about. These open doors to exploration and discovery. For example, how did that experience change your perspective? Why do you think that happened? What's most important to you about this? Silence is another part of the magic. When you ask something meaningful, don't rush to fill the pause. Let it breathe. That silence is where honesty forms. Breaking it too soon screams insecurity. Holding it shows confidence. Listening deeply completes the process. Without it, your questions are empty. True listening means catching not just words, but tone, energy, and silence. It means being fully present, and people can feel that. Strategic questions clarify confusion. inspire creativity, and challenge assumptions. Gently but effectively, they can turn conflict into collaboration. Instead of asking, "Why did you mess this up?" ask, "What do you think got in the way and how can we fix it together?" See the difference? One attacks, the other builds. Leaders understand this power. Their goal isn't to have all the answers. It's to help others find theirs. When people discover truth on their own, the lesson sticks for life. So start noticing the kind of questions you ask daily. Experiment. Reflect on what sparks real conversation and what doesn't. Over time, you'll develop a natural instinct for asking what matters. In everyday life, strategic questioning makes you magnetic. It deepens relationships, builds trust, and shows emotional intelligence. People remember those who make them think. Ultimately, speaking smart isn't about saying the perfect words. It's about creating space for others to express their truth. That's how you move from communication to connection. That's how you master the psychology of powerful communication. Before I reveal a truth about body language that almost no one talks about, the kind that silently commands respect before you even say a word, make sure you're part of this journey. Subscribe now, because what comes next will change not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Number 7, manage your body language to support your message. There's a powerful truth most people ignore. What you say matters far less than how you say it. Communication isn't just verbal. Your body speaks louder than your words ever will. You can speak with all the intelligence in the world, but if your body doesn't align, the message collapses. If your tone says confident, but your posture says unsure, your audience feels the contradiction instantly. People sense it before they even think about it. That's why managing your body language isn't optional. It's essential. Every gesture, every movement, every micro-expression send a message. When they match your words, your message becomes magnetic. You don't just talk, you radiate authenticity. Posture is power. Stand tall, relaxed but grounded. It projects confidence and invites attention. Slouching, on the other hand, leaks energy and signals uncertainty. When you rise in your body, you rise in your influence. Eye contact is another cornerstone. It's not about staring, it's about connection. Meeting someone's eyes says you matter. Avoiding them says the opposite. Balanced eye contact communicates honesty and strength. It draws people in and keeps them there. Your body is the messenger your words rely on. When it speaks the same truth your voice does, that's when you become unforgettable. The real key is balance. When you look someone in the eyes, hold it long enough to show you're present, but not so long that it feels forced. Then look away for a moment naturally. That rhythm keeps the energy flowing. It says, "I'm here, I see you, I'm grounded." Your face speaks before your words ever do. A sincere smile opens more doors than any title or credential ever will. A frown, it closes them before you even get a chance to explain yourself. When you talk, your face should echo your message. If you're sharing excitement, let your expression light up. If you're discussing something serious, stay calm, composed, deliberate. Your facial expressions are the mirror of your intent. They make your message human. People trust what they can feel from you, not just what they can hear. When your expression and your words align, people don't just listen, they believe. Your hands, they tell their own story. Purposeful gestures sharpen your message, highlight key ideas, and make your delivery come alive. Controlled motion communicates confidence, but restless movements, tapping, fiddling, adjusting, broadcast nerves and uncertainty. Move with intent. Let your hands guide your audience through your thoughts, not distract them from it. Movement itself carries power. Standing still for too long can make you look rigid, unnatural. But walking strategically, turning slightly toward someone, stepping forward when emphasizing a point, that creates engagement. That says, "I'm here with you." Effective communicators don't just move, they move with meaning. Every step, every turn, every pause, all serve the message. Your entire body is part of a language. When it moves in harmony with your words, you don't just speak, you influence. Then comes the quiet magic of mirroring. When you subtly reflect the gestures, tone, or energy of the person you're speaking with, you build trust without saying a word. It's not imitation, it's alignment. It says, I understand you. I'm on your wavelength. That small shift creates comfort, rapport, connection. Managing your body language also means mastering your nerves. The little habits, biting your nails, fiddling with a pen, shifting from foot to foot, they silently announce your anxiety. Calm your body, and your mind will follow. Breathe deeply. Center yourself before you speak, because steadiness radiates authority, and authority earns trust. Your tone of voice and your body posture work hand in hand. You can't sound powerful if your body is collapsed. If your shoulders droop and your head hangs low, your voice will betray that weakness. Straighten your spine, lift your chin, speak with energy that matches your physical presence. When your posture and your voice carry the same conviction, people feel it. Remember this. How you carry yourself shapes how you think. Stand tall and your confidence rises. Smile and your emotions begin to shift upward. That's not imagination, that's science. Your body feeds your brain signals that either empower or drain you. Control your posture, and you begin controlling your mindset. Body language is universal. It crosses languages, cultures, and words. It's the silent code that can build bridges when speech fails. Mastering it allows you to communicate clarity, honesty, and respect before you ever say a word. It's the difference between being merely heard and being understood. But here's the truth. Mastery takes practice. It means watching yourself, analyzing your habits, and adjusting with intention. Record yourself. Study your posture. Ask for honest feedback from people you trust. Each small tweak compounds. And one day, you'll realize people respond differently. They lean in, they listen longer, they remember you more. That's when you know your body and words are finally aligned. In every important conversation, negotiation, or presentation, your body is your silent ally. It can either amplify your message or quietly sabotage it. When it supports your words, it builds credibility. When it contradicts them, it breeds doubt. And doubt kills persuasion faster than any mistake in vocabulary. True communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how you show up, your gestures, your expressions, your energy. They all write a story before your words even start. When your body language is strong, you no longer need to prove your competence. People sense it, they feel it, and that's the mark of a powerful communicator. Now let's talk about something deeper, emotional connection. Because the truth is, most people don't fail to communicate because they lack skill. They fail because they lack feeling. It's not that people don't want to listen. They do, but they won't truly hear you until they feel you. That's where most communicators lose the room. They obsess over sounding smart, rehearsing lines, throwing facts, polishing delivery, and forget that influence doesn't start in the head. It starts in the heart. You can't move people with logic alone. Logic might convince the mind, but only emotion moves the soul. We've all sat through talks that were technically perfect, yet emotionally empty. All the right words, all the right structure, but no heartbeat behind them. Words without emotion are like wind. They pass by, but they never stay. Emotional connection is the bridge between you and your listener. It's what turns a message into meaning. It's what makes someone trust you, remember you, follow you. And that connection starts with honesty. Drop the mask. Stop performing. Let your audience see the human behind the message. Show them that you care, not just about what you're saying, but about them. When people sense genuine care, their guard lowers. They stop analyzing and start relating. Speak to what's real. The frustration of being misunderstood, the fear of being judged, the exhaustion of pretending to have it all together. These truths connect instantly because they're universal. When you voice what others feel but rarely say, you create that powerful moment of recognition. That's me. That's emotional connection in its rawest form. To build it, you must also be fully present. That means listening with your entire attention, not waiting for your turn to talk. People can feel when you're half there, but when your eyes say, "I'm with you," Your posture says you matter. And your energy says I care. Something shifts. That's when people begin leaning toward you instead of away. Your tone of voice carries that same emotional weight. A flat, robotic tone delivers words. A sincere, living tone delivers impact. Match your voice to the feeling you want to create. If you want them to feel hope, let your voice breathe it. If you're sharing something painful, don't rush through it. Let silence hold the weight. And when you're inspiring action, let your tone rise like a heartbeat. Urgent, alive, unstoppable. Empathy deepens that connection. When you respond not just with your ears, but with your emotions, understand, I've been there, that sounds tough, the wall between you and them disappears. You're no longer two sides of a conversation. You're two people sharing a truth. That's what real influence is made of. You don't connect by pretending to be emotional. You connect by being honest. Speak from truth, not from technique. Vulnerability doesn't weaken you. It humanizes you. Use stories. They're emotional memory. People might forget your facts, but they'll remember how your story made them feel. A story gives your words heartbeat and color. When people see themselves in it, they live the lesson with you. And when you let silence linger after a powerful point, that's when emotion breathes. Don't rush it. Let it land. Emotional connection isn't built through performance. It's built through presence, through small, genuine moments of care. The smile, the nod, the pause, the curiosity. Those details are what make people trust you. Speak with people, not at them. Influence isn't about commanding. It's about connecting. When people feel seen, they open their minds. When they feel respected, they open their hearts. That's the difference between speaking at someone and speaking into them. One fills time. The other changes lives. When you speak into people, you stop being a talker and you become a messenger. You stop chasing attention and you start earning impact. Because in the end, influence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one they can't forget. People might not recall your exact words, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That's emotional connection, and it's what separates a communicator from a leader. Number 9, create a speaking style that reflects your unique personality and builds authentic presence. Most people aren't afraid of talking. They're afraid of not sounding good enough. They think they need to perform, to sound like someone else. Louder, smoother, more perfect. So they copy, they polish, they over-rehearse. And in chasing perfect, they erase the very thing that would make their words unforgettable, their truth. Here's the reality. People don't connect to perfect. They connect to real. They connect to someone who sounds like they mean every word, not someone trying to impress the room. You don't need to act like a speaker. You need to be one. When your voice, your rhythm, your energy feel like you, people trust you, even if you stumble, even if you pause to think. Authenticity beats perfection every single time. Building your own speaking style starts with one hard decision. Stop apologizing for who you are. If you're naturally calm, don't force loudness. If you're fiery, don't dim your spark. If you're reflective, don't rush your pace. The goal isn't to sound like anyone else. The goal is to make your truth impossible to ignore. Authentic presence begins inside. It's built from clarity, knowing what you stand for and what you refuse to fake. Because when you speak from conviction, you don't need to chase approval. People feel it. They can sense when your words are lived, not rehearsed. Every great communicator has that one thing in common. They're rooted in themselves. They don't perform confidence. They embody it. They don't try to sound powerful. They speak from power. That's the difference between the ones who fill a room and the ones who own it. To find your authentic tone, you have to listen to yourself literally. Record your voice, watch your delivery, and ask, does this sound like me at my best, or like me trying to please people? The first one connects. The second one dies in the air. Let your natural rhythm breathe. Some people speak with fire, others with gravity. Some move the room with stillness, others with motion. There's no single formula. The only wrong way is pretending. The audience doesn't want a flawless performer. They want someone real enough to make them feel safe, curious, inspired. That's why you don't have to chase charisma. You build it every time you choose honesty over perfection. Confidence isn't loudness, it's certainty. It's a steady tone that says, I know what I'm talking about and I mean it. When you own your natural voice, your pace, your tone, your truth, your words carry weight. Developing your authentic style also means learning how to manage energy. Too much and you overwhelm. Too little and you disappear. Find your baseline, the version of you that feels most centered and alive, and speak from there. That's where presence lives. Presence isn't in your volume. It's in your focus. It's the way your attention fills the room. When you speak, don't scatter your energy, aim it. One clear message, one clear emotion, one clear intention. People follow clarity, not noise. And when your energy, words, and body align, something clicks. You stop performing and start connecting. You stop speaking at people and start speaking with them. That's when your authenticity becomes power. Because your truth doesn't need decoration. It needs conviction. It needs delivery that sounds like you. If your voice trembles, let it. If you pause on it, if you laugh, don't hold it back. Those human moments are what make people listen longer. They remind them you're not reading script. You're sharing something real. So drop the act. Let your quirk show. Let your pace breathe. Let your natural tone lead. Because the moment you start sounding like everyone else, you become forgettable. But the moment you start sounding like yourself, you become magnetic. That's how you build an authentic presence, not by polishing your edges, but by sharpening your truth. You've got to own your rhythm, your quirks, your tone, your pace, your energy. Whether you speak softly or command the room, whether you use humor, stories, metaphors, or silence, none of it is weakness. That's your fingerprint. That's what separates you from every voice that sounds the same. Stop trying to scrub away your natural tone just to sound professional. True greatness in communication begins where imitation ends. Your style should never feel like a costume you wear for the world. It should feel like your second skin. Some of the most unforgettable speakers in history didn't have textbook perfect voices. They weren't trained to sound flawless. They spoke straight from the center of who they were. And because their message flowed from authenticity, not performance, it hit differently. People may not always agree with you, but they'll trust you because they can feel that you mean every word. That trust doesn't come from charisma, it comes from alignment. When what you say, how you say it, and who you are all match. When those three connect, your voice carries integrity. It resonates. To build a style that's truly yours, start by noticing how you sound when you're most alive. When you're laughing with a close friend. When you're passionately explaining something that matters. When you're speaking your truth without editing yourself. That's your real voice. Raw, magnetic, and powerful. Your goal isn't to create a new voice. It's to remove everything that hides the real one. Presence lives in that tension between performance and comfort. If you're too performative, people sense the act. If you're too casual, your message loses weight. The sweet spot? Grounded confidence, relaxed yet deliberate. Fully yourself, but intentional with your impact. You don't need to fake charisma. You don't need to act fearless. You just need to be there fully, completely, with your attention aimed outward instead of trapped in self-doubt. Most people kill their natural flow by overthinking every word. They script, rewrite, memorize, rehearse, until their delivery sounds lifeless. It's too polished, too tight, too robotic. The best communicators prepare deeply but speak loosely. They don't aim for perfection. They aim for connection. And connection only happens when you're with the message, not just reciting it. Your audience doesn't care if you stumble or pause. They care if you're real. Don't hide your emotions, channel them. If you're funny, let it show. If you're intense, let it breathe. If you're reflective, own that calm. Your tone isn't a limitation. It's your signature. Your emotions are not chaos to control. They're colors to paint with. You can be serious and light, passionate and calm, as long as it's authentic. The biggest mistake? Believing there's only one right way to sound. There isn't. The only wrong way is pretending. And remember, your speaking style isn't static. It evolves with time, practice, and awareness. The more you speak, the more you'll discover which parts of your voice are truly you, and which parts are just borrowed from insecurity or imitation. In the beginning, you might mirror those you admire. That's natural. But the goal is to strip away every borrowed tone until only truth remains. Because your best version doesn't echo anyone else. It's something only you can embody. Your body language is part of that truth. But again, it's not about perfect gestures. It's about alignment. If your words say one thing but your body says another, people feel the conflict. Presence happens when your body and your voice tell the same story. Let your hands move when passion rises. Lock eyes when you mean something. Stand in a way that shows you believe your own words. The more your body mirrors your conviction, the more magnetic your presence becomes. Silence. It's one of the most underrated tools of communication. Most people fear it. They think a pause means they've lost control. But silence, when owned with confidence, becomes power. It gives your message space to breathe. It commands attention without raising your voice. When you pause, you're not losing energy, you're sharpening it. If you naturally pause to think, don't apologize for it. Own it. Stillness can be as persuasive as movement. You don't have to rush to prove intelligence. Let the moment breathe. Because when you do, your words start to live inside the listener's mind. And don't confuse simplicity with weakness. Complex words don't make you sound smarter. They just make you harder to follow. The greatest communicators don't try to impress. They aim to express. Use language that reflects your natural way of thinking and feeling. Speak the way you'd explain something to someone you deeply care about. That tone, honest, human, alive, is your real superpower. Feedback can help you grow. But here's the trap. When you chase every opinion, you lose yourself. Everyone will have advice. Be louder. Tone it down. Add humor. Be serious. Listen, learn, but filter. Because the right feedback sharpens your voice, while the wrong feedback steals it. Trust your gut. Trust your rhythm. Because real presence doesn't come from technique. It comes from truth. And that truth is refined every time you choose authenticity over imitation. A powerful speaking style isn't born in one day. It's built brick by brick, moment by moment. Every time you choose real over rehearsed, connection over perfection, truth over comfort, you build the kind of voice people remember. The most unforgettable communicators aren't the ones who sound flawless. They're the ones who feel real. They don't just speak, they transfer energy. They don't perform, they move you. Not because their words were clever, but because every syllable came from alignment between what they believe and who they are. That's where greatness lives, not in polish, not in perfection, but in truth, spoken with conviction. And that brings us to you. You've reached the end of this journey. But in reality, this is where your mastery begins. From here, every word you speak, every message you deliver, becomes a reflection of the work you've done on yourself. So go out there, not to sound impressive, but to sound real, to stand in your truth so fully that your voice becomes a mirror of who you are. Because when you speak from that place, the world doesn't just listen, it remembers. Before you go, if this guide sparked something in you, if it made you think deeper, speak bolder, or see communication in a whole new light, then don't just close the book and vanish. Join the journey, hit subscribe, and become part of the tribe that refuses to stay average. Because the next chapters, the ones coming, aren't just about speaking better. They're about living louder, thinking sharper, and leading with the kind of confidence that changes everything. Don't miss that. Subscribe, not out of habit, but out of hunger. Because if this resonated, then what's coming next will transform you.